Squad is a tactical, multiplayer FPS that aims to bridge the gap between arcade shooters and hardcore milsims. It's a game that relies heavily on voice communication within your squad and beyond. You need drivers or pilots to transport you through huge maps, people doing logistics runs needed to resupply and build fortifications, and conscious coordination with your fellow soldiers when eliminating more dangerous targets and capturing strategic objectives. You die quickly playing Lone Wolf, and it can take forever to get back to the front line if there's no nearby spawn points available. You'll quickly understand the benefit of voice communication when you get warned about the exact direction of incoming enemy fire.
Everybody inside!
People often roleplay, play music and tell jokes, making the overall experience quite immersive.
European drivers.
You are therefore recommended to use your microphone or at least listen actively to requests by your squad leader. Squad features a ton of factions, weapons and vehicles and is still being updated with new content. It's not unusual to wait in a queue to enter a good server. It's safe to say that the game is alive and thriving. One of the main draws for many players, including me, maybe even more so than the base game, is the Galactic Contention mod. It's a total conversion mod set in the Clone Wars. It takes up around 40 gigabytes and is a separate game in itself. Some of the changes make the game more arcadey, but also faster and more fun. Everyone gets a stamina boost, especially droids for example, but they cannot be revived to balance things out. Some vehicle animations can be unreliable, but it's functional enough where you still consider them a threat. It might be the Star Wars Battlefront 3 we all wanted. Time for the dad checklist. Squad features loud sound effects, like shooting and explosions, and adult language. The former can be easily adjusted in audio settings, but by reducing the latter, you risk missing actually useful bits of communication, like orders and enemy position. The game leans toward milsim at times, meaning that most of your time will be spent traveling, planning and maneuvering around the enemy. Mistakes are costly, a bullet or two can kill anyone, and if there's no teammates with bandages around, this means respawning at the nearest hab or far back at the main base. It can feel like unnecessary filler while you're still learning the game systems and don't understand their importance. Making the cost of death higher is the point, and it makes eventual shootouts way more intense. If you, however, want an immediately intense experience, you will be disappointed. Squad can be cinematic like nothing else, but such moments are unpredictable and often follow long stretches of maneuvering and waiting patiently. Squad requires more time investment than other shooters, but payoff is also great. You can disconnect from the match at any time without severely impacting your team, so there's no harm in playing in very short sessions. However, the game relies heavily on delayed gratification. If you find a competent squad of strangers and maneuver across the map, placing ambushes and taking out enemy tanks, it's disappointing to let go.
Enemy tank.
Oh, fuck.
I believe he's down.
Nah, let me out, I'm not staying in here. What the fuck? Bye.
It can take a lot of time for a good plan to pay off, so you'll usually want to stick around till the end. Therefore, you can definitely play the game in small sessions, but you'll often feel like you're missing out if you disconnect early. Squad is not a very graphically intense game, and it runs quite decently on Steam Deck at around 30 FPS, if you're willing to invest the time and do some tweaking. It's not my preferred kind of game to play on Steam Deck, but just know that taking Squad with you on the go is definitely possible. Squad has a comparatively steep learning curve. In most servers, you're expected to have decent experience with any armor or helicopter you're trying to pilot. Every vehicle lost costs your team precious tickets, so having good pilots or tank specialists on your side can change the tide of battle. One of the biggest hurdles to overcome for new players is telling enemies apart to avoid blue on blue. Even in Galactic Contention, enemy soldiers can all look the same from far away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't tell phase 1 from phase 3 from 3 miles away.
You have to constantly check the map because you often have just a second to open fire on someone, if that. What makes it difficult for a new player is that friendlies don't immediately have their names displayed above their head, as is standard in other, more arcadey shooters. Their name only shows up after aiming directly at them, and even then not instantly, leading to a lot of friendly fire at first. The squad selection interface can also be a little hard to read if you're a first-time player. Also, your aim depends on things like your body position, stamina, and distance to the target. It can be hard to land a good shot when starting out, especially if you're being suppressed, because your vision gets blurry, but when you do, it's deeply satisfying. Driving to a contested point with your new comrades, avoiding enemy fire, and surviving an ambush is cinematic and memorable. Just like in real war, everyone is a glass cannon. Everything you do has a clear cost to everyone around you, and it adds weight to otherwise mundane actions like, for example, lying on the ground to avoid detection by the enemy tank.
Squad 2.
Once you reach a certain age, Squad might become the type of game you play for years. It rewards patience and maturity and allows you to have fun conversations with strangers while role-playing from the safety of your home. It's a game that has no strict endpoint, but it provides so many things to learn and experience that you might never uninstall it and just come back to it from time to time over the years.
Nice game, so. Oh my god, that shit. You're kidding me. Oh shit, dude.
I am what happens when you don't get rid of that sock and it gets warm enough and old enough to get up and walk away.
Well,
Like,
we got a
why
lot of
would you
those,
even
haven't we?
come in a sock?